The morning sunlight streamed through the massive glass windows of ABC's New York studios, casting a golden glow across the bustling corridors of The View. The audience, a mix of longtime fans and ticket holders handpicked for the anniversary celebration, chatted excitedly, unaware that the day would turn into one of the most unforgettable live TV moments in the show's history. In the green room, Blake Shelton lounged on a couch, strumming a few chords on an acoustic guitar. His laid-back demeanor masked the slight unease he felt. Normally, he thrived on interviews, his humor and charm a natural shield against uncomfortable questions. But something about this episode felt different. Joy Behar, always the first to notice subtle shifts in mood, arrived in the green room shortly afterward, her sharp eyes scanning the room. She gave a polite nod to Blake, but there was a tension in her posture, a readiness to engage that went beyond casual conversation. The producers had briefed her about Blake's typical avoidance of controversial topics, and she had made up her mind. Today, she would push him harder than anyone else. The audience's applause echoed through the studio as the camera crew signaled that the show was about to go live. Blake was escorted onto the set, his signature grin in place, but beneath it, he felt the familiar butterflies of a performer walking into unknown territory. He waved at the cheering crowd, soaking in the warmth, before taking his seat across from the co-hosts. The first few minutes were smooth. Blake joked about his latest single, referenced a funny story from The Voice, and even played a brief snippet of a new song. Whoopi Goldberg and Sonny Hostin laughed, engaged in the conversation, while audience members clapped along. The atmosphere felt lighthearted, almost festive. Then, as expected, Joy leaned forward, her tone taking a sharper edge. "Blake," she began, eyes narrowing slightly, "you've been very quiet on a lot of issues lately. Some of your fans really want to know where you stand on, well, everything. Don't you think it's time to speak up?" Blake chuckled nervously, hoping humor might diffuse the tension. "Joy, you know me. I like to sing, I like to joke around. Politics and controversy. Not exactly my stage." He offered his usual charm, a disarming grin, but it didn't have the desired effect. Joy, however, was relentless. "But that's just it, Blake. People look up to you. You have influence. You can't just stay in the background. Music is powerful, sure, but words are powerful too." Her tone was calm, but the intensity behind it was unmistakable. Blake shifted in his chair, the unease growing. "I get that, I do," he said, voice firm but measured. "But I've learned that the stage isn't always the right place for every conversation. Sometimes, the music itself says what words can't." Joy tilted her head, the familiar glint of mischief and determination in her eyes. "I don't think that's enough, Blake. The world is watching, and silence can sometimes be louder than words. Aren't you worried about being misunderstood?" The studio audience began to murmur quietly. The subtle escalation in tone was palpable. Everyone could sense the tension rising. Blake took a deep breath, trying to maintain his composure. He was used to playful banter, heckling from late-night hosts, even some pointed criticism from the press, but this was different. Joy wasn't simply teasing, she was confronting him. "I came here to perform, to talk about music, to have fun with your audience," Blake said, his voice stronger now, though a flicker of frustration crept in. "I didn't come here to be judged or to defend myself like I'm on trial." Joy's expression didn't change. Instead, she leaned forward, her voice even sharper. "Defend yourself? Blake, I'm not attacking you. I'm asking you to be accountable. You have a platform. Don't you think you owe your fans that honesty?" The words hit harder than Blake expected. His jaw tightened. The usual calm he exuded in interviews began to crack. "You know what, Joy? I've done my part. I entertain. I sing. I share a piece of myself in every song. But I'm not here to debate or get lectured on things I don't want to discuss in this space." His tone was louder now, commanding the attention of the audience. The murmurs grew, a ripple of tension sweeping through the crowd. Joy blinked in surprise, momentarily taken aback by Blake's sudden firmness. But she quickly recovered, adjusting her posture, a sly half-smile playing on her lips. "Oh, so now we are raising voices? This is live television, Blake. People are watching. Don't think you can just walk away from this conversation." Blake's smile was gone. The familiar twinkle in his eyes had hardened into a sharp edge. "You know what? I think I've had enough. I didn't come here to be grilled. I didn't come here to be made uncomfortable on my own stage." There was a beat of silence. Whoopi and Sonny exchanged anxious glances, while the audience sat frozen, unsure how to react. Some gasped. Some whispered. Cameras continued to roll, capturing every second of the escalating confrontation. Blake slowly stood, towering over the set in his cowboy boots, exuding an intensity few had ever witnessed from him in a professional setting. "I respect your right to ask questions, Joy," he said firmly, his voice steady but charged with emotion. "But I also respect myself, and I won't be treated like this on national television." Joy, momentarily speechless, leaned back, her hand gripping the edge of the desk. "Excuse me," she finally managed, trying to maintain her composure, but her earlier confidence was now tinged with uncertainty. Blake shook his head, shoulders squared, eyes locking briefly with hers. "No. I'm done here." And without another word, he strode past the co-hosts, past the stunned audience, and exited the stage. The suddenness of his departure left everyone in stunned silence. Backstage, producers were in full-blown panic mode. "Cut the feed! Cut the feed!" shouted one of the assistant directors, while others scrambled to reach security and manage the live broadcast. The control room was a frenzy of flashing lights and urgent commands. Cameras were still live, capturing the stunned reactions of the hosts and audience members alike, many of whom were frozen in disbelief. In the studio, the co-hosts tried to fill the awkward void. "Well," Whoopi started, her voice unusually cautious. "That was unexpected." The audience laughed nervously, unsure if it was appropriate to applaud or remain silent. Joy Behar, still sitting behind her desk, rubbed her temples, visibly frustrated and incredulous. "I can't believe he just walked off," she muttered under her breath, the tension in her voice betraying a rare moment of vulnerability. Meanwhile, backstage, Blake was pacing, trying to calm his racing thoughts. "I can't believe it had to come to that," he muttered to his manager. "I just wanted a normal interview. A little fun. That's it." But even as he said it, he knew the incident would be everywhere by lunchtime. Clips circulating online, social media exploding, and fans taking sides in the immediate public debate. The incident, though just beginning, was already shaping up to be a defining moment. Tensions were high, reputations on the line, and the story of the day would not just be about music, but about confrontation, boundaries, and the collision of personalities on live television. And this was only the beginning. The moment Blake Shelton stormed off the set, the studio descended into chaos. The audience sat frozen, a mixture of awe, confusion, and disbelief painting their faces. Cameras continued rolling, capturing every awkward second, while producers scrambled behind the scenes, phones ringing off the hook, coordinators shouting over each other. Backstage, Joy Behar sat silently, her signature composure shaken. For the first time in decades on live television, she was left speechless mid-interview. I didn't expect him to actually leave," she muttered under her breath, running a hand through her hair. Sonny Hostin leaned toward her, whispering, "We need to keep the show going. Just breathe." But the tension was electric, almost tangible. Producers hurriedly brought in a replacement segment, a pre-recorded clip of a cooking demonstration, trying to fill the sudden vacuum on live TV. Meanwhile, in the control room, executives watched the monitors with furrowed brows. "We need damage control, fast," someone barked. Social media notifications lit up at a dizzying speed. Within seconds, clips of Blake's abrupt exit went viral. Headlines flashed, "Blake Shelton quits live interview," "Country star storms off The View after heated clash with Joy Behar," and "Blake Shelton versus Joy Behar, the live TV showdown you can't miss." Outside the studio, reporters were already gathering, sensing the brewing storm. Cameras clicked and mics were thrust into faces of stunned audience members. "What did you think of the confrontation?" a reporter asked. Many shrugged, some shook their heads, while others whispered, "I've never seen anything like it." Meanwhile, Blake was escorted to a quiet room backstage, away from the cameras and shouting crew. He sank into a leather chair, running a hand over his face. His manager, Michael, approached cautiously. "Blake, are you okay?" he asked, concern etched into his face. Blake leaned back, his cowboy hat tipped slightly forward. "I'm fine, Michael. Just frustrated. I didn't sign up for a debate. I came to share music, maybe laugh a little. I didn't expect to feel cornered on live television like that." His voice carried a rare vulnerability, a side of Blake the public rarely saw. Michael nodded. "I get it. But the internet is going to have a field day. People are already taking sides. Some are saying you were justified, others are calling it unprofessional." Blake's jaw tightened. "I know. And honestly, I don't care. I respect Joy, I do. But there's a line. I'm not crossing it just because it's live TV. He stood and paced the room, running his fingers through his hair. I've always been about authenticity. If people want to misinterpret that, that's on them. But I won't compromise who I am just to avoid confrontation. Back at the studio, Joy was recovering, though her irritation was still visible. She leaned into the camera, attempting to steer the show back on track. Well, folks, she said, her voice carefully measured. Sometimes live television reminds us that anything can happen. We'll take a short break and be right back with more segments, including some special surprises for our anniversary celebration. The audience applauded cautiously, unsure whether to cheer or remain silent. By late afternoon, social media had exploded. Fans flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, posting clips of Blake's exit with captions ranging from supportive to critical. Memes proliferated, some humorous, some scathing. News outlets picked up the story, creating an online debate that quickly became trending. Morning shows across the country replayed the confrontation, dissecting every word, gesture, and glance. Blake's reputation as a fun-loving, laid-back entertainer collided headfirst with his unwillingness to endure public confrontation, and people were fascinated. Amid the chaos, a call came through to Blake's phone. It was Ellen DeGeneres, a longtime friend. I saw the clip, she said, trying to lighten the tension. Are you okay, cowboy? Blake chuckled, a short, tired laugh. Yeah. I guess. Just not how I expected my morning to go. Ellen's voice softened. You stood up for yourself. That's rare in showbiz. People are going to respect that. He sighed. I hope they do. I hate that it had to get so heated. Joy's brilliant, but sometimes a conversation crosses a line, you know. Meanwhile, the producers of The View were drafting official statements. They released a carefully worded press release. Blake Shelton appeared on our anniversary